Greetings and salutations, pen fans. Welcome back to The Pen Habit. My name is Matt Armstrong, and it's time for another cream-colored box with a big brown V on the front. Again, if you've watched many of my videos, you know what this box means, or if you're a big fan of fountain pens, you probably know what this box means. If you don't, welcome to another review of the brand Visconti, the Italian brand Visconti, one of my favorite fountain pen brands. They do flashy right, in my opinion. And we all know how I feel about flashy pens. So, standard box. It's actually not the standard box. It's a little narrower than a lot of the Visconti boxes that I've seen before. And that's because the clamshell case for this pen is also narrower than previous clamshell cases that have come from Visconti. There's the little Visconti booklet. If you've ever seen a Visconti, you've seen these pens, and they're really quite beautifully photographed. Some gorgeous pens in their lineup. Some of them are, I mean, let's be honest, Visconti pens are not for those who enjoy clean lines and understated things. This is, they're Italian all the way through. Pretty flashy, lots of colors, which means they work wonderfully for me. The pen case opens up to inside include the identity card for today's pen, the Saturno. And in this case, this is number 14 of 118 with a palladium nib. And here is the pen itself. So, comes inside a little plastic sleeve. And this is the Visconti Saturno. So, in this particular case, Visconti has gone with what is essentially a very clean design on the pen, but complemented it with this beautiful swirly blue-black material. This material, I wouldn't be surprised if this is actually the exact same material that's on my Visconti Divina. It looks very similar. Beautiful polish job, very, very nice machining here. But a very kind of standard cigar shape with kind of more blunted ends than your traditional cigar-shaped pen. You've got the Visconti bridge clip here, and they've colored the enamel in to match the color of the pen. It's spring-loaded and very tight. This is probably the tightest bridge clip I've ever seen. Now, a lot of people have complained, and perhaps rightly so, although I've never had an issue with it, that this kind of flat edge to the bridge clip keeps the pen from staying in your shirt pocket. Now, once I've got a pen in my shirt pocket, it's not often that I'm, standing on my head or bending over at the waist, so I don't lose pens out of my shirt pocket very often. In fact, I don't wear shirts with pockets very often. But when I do put it in there, I haven't had any problems with them coming out. You've got the little screw in the back here to hold in the spring loading mechanism, which again is very tight. You've got enameled rings here along the center cap band, and apparently these rings are supposed to represent the rings of Saturn itself. The barrel comes undone with 1 3/4 turns. You've got some more Saturn's rings here in the middle, a metal section that tapers down slightly, and then the engraved numbered. This is a numbered limited edition, so this is 14 of 118, and that's, I believe, 118 of each color. And then you've got a 23 karat palladium Dream Touch nib, kind of standard plastic feed. And this is a cartridge converter pen. So the barrel comes off to reveal a nice Visconti converter with the metal top. And it is a screw-in converter, so that's nice. It helps if you're afraid of your converter coming undone. It's all in all, it's a very nice pen. I just adore this material. It really, really speaks to me. And I've got a couple of other pens with similar material, including the Divina, and I think this is very similar to the material in the Edison Collier that I have as well, although I don't think the Edison Collier material is quite as black as this is. This has a lot more black in it than that material, I believe. The section is a little unfortunate. to put it. You know, it's a small section. It's made out of chromed metal or, you know, polished metal. I don't care for that, and because it's short, I find myself on the threads quite a bit. Fortunately, the threads are narrow and they're not terribly sharp, so it's not the end of the world if I do find myself on the threads with my grip. So let's do a few comparisons here. This is the Saturno, the Mont Blanc 149. I'll straighten that up just a little bit. The Pelican M1000, Pelican M800, the Stipula Etruria, and the Platinum 3776. So we've got a few comparables there. And then if you're wanting to look at some more affordable pens, here is the TWSBI Eco, the Pilot Metropolitan, and an Esterbrook J for comparison's sake, and just because I think it's funny to compare these two pens, a Pilot Petite One. Oh, yeah, let's do this. One of these things just doesn't belong here. One of these things just doesn't fit in. Sorry for those of you who didn't grow up watching Sesame Street. You may not get that. All right, so measurements-wise, it's a good middle-sized pen. It's 145.7 millimeters capped. Uncapped, you've got 127.4 millimeters, and it can be posted. It posts pretty securely, but only by friction. It appears to be meshing with the inner cap, but again, I would be worried about marring the finish on this, so I probably would not post it. But when posted, it is 168.8 millimeters. And then diameter-wise, you're looking at 11.7 in the middle of the section, so nice wide section there. Widest point of the barrel is going to be 13.2 millimeters, and the widest point of the cap is going to be 15.7 millimeters. And 23 grams with uncapped and posted, and I think a lot of that weight comes from the metal section here. And then it's 39 grams with the cap on or with being posted, and so that's an extra 16 grams in the cap by itself. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of writing. I'll show you how this beauty writes, spoiler alert, beautifully, and we will go from there. So here we go. This is the Visconti Saturno. And this is the Blue Titan version, UETITAN. Comes with a 23 karat. Palladium nib, or what they call the Dream Touch nib. And the ink is one of my favorite blues, Diamine Majestic Blue. If you want a dark blue that sheens a lot, this is a very saturated blue that sheens a whole bunch. Okay, here's the quote. I think I misspelled that. Yes, I did. Annaeus. Let's try that a third time. And oh my gosh. A-N-N-A-E-U-S. My goodness gracious. Okay. Lucius Annaeus Seneca. Okay, so I've done a lot of reviews of Visconti pens, a lot of Visconti pens with Dream Touch nibs. I really, really like Visconti's Dream Touch nibs. They're soft, they're bouncy, they write really well, they're smooth. Sometimes they tend to be too smooth or too wet. But my experience in the last probably 4 or 5 pens that I've gotten from Visconti is they've been just shy of perfect. So I wouldn't worry too much about a Visconti nib being too smooth or too wet. If you are worried about it, buy it from a retailer who will either adjust the nib for you beforehand or have a good return policy. And this pen was loaned to me by Gold Spot Pens. I know they've got a great policy and great customer service, so I would, of course, recommend you buy this pen from Gold Spot Pens first. So thank you very much, Gold Spot, for loaning this pen for review purposes. In the hand, this is just a really comfortable pen. It writes beautifully. I haven't had any issues with it at all. The ink flows, it's smooth as all get out. In terms of line variation, you can get some pretty good line variation out of a palladium nib. This is not a stub or not a flex nib. It's not really intended to be used as such, but the palladium is a pretty nice and soft metal. Now I got a little bit of a hard start there, but that's because I had the pen rotated too much. So it really is just a lovely, lovely nib. It just kind of floats across the paper, and I haven't had any really issues at all. In terms of reverse writing, it's a little scratchy, but that's actually not a little scratchy. It's quite scratchy. Nice wet pen. Nice juicy wetness. This is a medium, so it's going to be a little wide for a medium, but not so much so that it's unusable. But you know, it's got a nice wet juiciness about it that I really like a whole bunch. Beautiful pen, beautiful design. You know, it really is just a lovely pen that I have enjoyed playing with a lot. Now, this pen does come in 4 colors. So there is the black Rhea, and I believe these are named after the moons of Saturn. So the black Rhea, the blue Titan, the brown Dione, and the green Lepidus. This is the blue Titan version of the pen. The other, I'm not a big fan of black pens, but all of them look beautiful, especially the blue, the brown, and the green look like great pens to me. Just beautiful, beautiful materials. Now, this is, you know, it is an understated pen from a form-wise. In terms of materials-wise, it's not. But it's also a pretty pricey pen. So this is going to be up in the upper ranges, kind of in keeping with what Visconti normally charges for its pens. So this pen has a manufactured suggested retail price of $595. Generally, it retails for about $475, $480. But as usual, Visconti retailers are not allowed to show the sale price on the front page. So usually you have to add the pen to your cart before you can get the actual retail price, or call or email in to get the retail price. So don't take my word on the retail price. That's just a range. The actual sale price might be slightly different. You'll want to check with Gold Spot Pens or another retailer. It's pricey for a pen. The design is a little simple for me for that price range, but it's such a great writer, I would still be willing to pay it. I love the Dream Touch nib. When it's well adjusted, there are few nibs out there that are better. And my experience has been that almost every Dream Touch nib I've ever used in the last 3 years has been gorgeous, just right out of the box. And that's the case with this one. Needed no work. It's beautifully polished. There's no, inclusions in the material. It's just really a gorgeous, gorgeous pen, comfortable to hold. The only real downside to me is this metal section, which I don't love. I wish they would have put an acrylic section on here. That would have made it kind of perfect for me, and concaved it just a little bit. Aside from that, it is just really a gorgeous pen. So that has been my review of the Visconti Saturno. Thank you again to Gold Spot Pens for loaning this pen for review purposes. I really do appreciate it. So if you buy this or anything else from Gold Spot Pens, when you do, please let them know that you were sent there by the Pen Habit, and thank them for their support of the Pen Habit and providing these pens for review purposes. And that should do it for this review. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you here next time on the Pen Habit. Bye.